Hello, this is Andrew with My Million Bike, and this is the recap for the Rough Road 100K for 2024. Regular viewers of these videos will know that this recap is a little bit late. I usually get them out fairly quickly. The reason behind that is I saw a bunch of things that bothered me at Rough Road, and I wanted to give the organizers a chance to provide their input or official response or something like that. It didn't seem fair to rush them either. I'm guessing that they have other things in their life, like a family and a day job. So I wanted to provide an ample opportunity to get a measured and thorough response. I don't think it would have been fair to say what I want to say without providing that opportunity to them. Before getting to that, a few things. If you just want to hear all my excuses for why I lost yet another race, I put chapter markers in the description. Thanks for coming. Sorry to be a downer, but it didn't feel right to be silent. I also put the link to the full race if you're interested in that. Next, so it doesn't get lost, I think what the Rough Road folks are doing in and for the town of Morris is great. While I have feedback around that, it's intended to be constructive. I think we both want the same general things, which are a safe, inclusive, and fun race-like event. Also, so it doesn't get missed, in general, I think that the Rough Road organizers intend the right things. I have no idea what goes into organizing an event of this scale. I can't imagine it's easy. I also don't think that that is an excuse. The last thing is, I don't want this to be interpreted as a don't sign up for Rough Road rant. I will probably sign up again next year, assuming they don't ban me. So let's get into it. Setting the stage, like I said, I had some feedback that I wanted to share with the organizers. I reached out through the form on their website indicating I would like to have an email conversation around those points for this video. I provided my email and I waited for a response. They got back to me on Monday. I sent them my list. I put the list on the side here somewhere. It's kind of long. I don't think it would be useful to hit every point. Feel free to pause the video if you're interested. The main problem is that the road where the race started and finished wasn't properly barricaded. I witnessed several safety issues with riders and people crossing close enough to the finish line that it was a problem for riders going over the timing mats. I witnessed cars driving down that road. I heard about somebody getting hit by a truck on that road. I don't know the specifics around the person getting hit. I hope they're okay. I mentioned that collision in my email. The organizers did not dispute that it happened, which suggests that somebody was struck by a motor vehicle. They did dispute the specific facts that I was told by other folks at the event, but did not provide an alternate set of facts. We can speculate as to why they didn't, but that's not helpful. Ultimately, I think it's safe to say that something bad happened with a motor vehicle in that space. The specifics probably don't matter for the point I'm trying to make. Even if somebody wasn't struck by a truck, traffic management wasn't configured with rider and pedestrian safety as the most important thing at the event finish. Still on the topic of safety, it's important to understand that Rough Road is really two races held at the same time. Like most races, there are differences in length and grouping within the individual races, like there's a 100K and a 64K, but that's not what I'm talking about. There is a USAC event for licensed racers and an open event for the rest of us. Both races go off at the same time. You're supposed to line up with your race and your distance, but there's no enforcement and there are huge advantages to cheating. An open rider that gets out of the corral with the Cat 2 riders has a massive advantage over anyone who starts 200 feet back. Compounding that, all of the USAC riders are bunched together. So Cat 4-5 starts at the same time as Cat 1-2-3. That seems like a problem to me. Someone laid their bike down at the start. I don't know if they were a USAC or open rider who maybe didn't belong there, but it's hard not to see that as a structural safety issue. And an easy safety issue to solve by staggering the start. Start the USAC Cat 1-2-3 riders at 8 a.m., maybe Cat 4-5 goes at 8:05 or 8:10, and the open riders go 5 or 10 minutes later. They have start and finish chip timing. More on that later. It should be child's play to enforce riders starting with the correct category. if their start time is before their group started, it's an easy thing to track them down and have a conversation. Now to the less serious issues. The organizers published at least 3 different routes in the few days leading up to the race. They weren't great about disclosing that the route had changed. I found out about the last 2 changes from friends who noticed that their route was different from the one I had shown that I had shared with some wind information. I get it that routes change. That's not the problem. The lack of clear communication was the problem. This is a consistent theme. The other problem, and this one still makes my head hurt, they totally messed up the timing for the Open 100K. It's possible that the other races were just as messed up. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to them while scratching my head. When I finished the race, the top 10-ish entries for the 100K, which just so it's clear was 63 miles this year, were bonkers. The top 2 spots had times around 54 minutes, which if we do some quick math, we don't even need to do math to understand that that would be tough to do on a motorcycle. The next bunch had times that were in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range, which still crazy for a mixed surface race. Not even Matthew Van Der Poel can do that. Some basic sanity checking would have gone a long way there. What ended up happening is that the organizers decided to switch from a pure chip timing to whistle or gun time plus chip finish for the open race, which means that where you lined up at the start absolutely impacted your result. I looked at my race video and did a rough time check of how long it took for me to get to the start line mats after I heard go. It was about 40 seconds. My recollection is that when they made the change between chip time and whistle time, my official ending time changed by about a minute. It doesn't seem cool to change the rules after the fact. And just to be clear, I am not complaining about my placement. It's very likely that people who officially placed lower than I did actually had better times. That's not fair to them. I like pure chip timing. It removes a lot of the incentives to behave badly at the start line. It makes it reasonable to line up where you're supposed to line up. It makes it reasonable to not worry about starting at the front or jockeying through the neutral start area to grab a few seconds. It makes it easier to be safer, which is a priority for me at these events. I don't do races where the start is chaotic. I don't need that risk in my life. They did eventually sort out the podium, the top 3, after maybe an hour, hour and a half. Even that took some effort. Just before they were about to announce the top 3, the first place rider had to intervene to explain that they got the results wrong. They had reclassified 2nd and 3rd place as 64K riders. Fortunately, that got sorted out, and the people who earned a podium got one. But what it means in practice is that any result past 3rd place is suspect. We don't know. When I cross-referenced the results on Monday, they had put 2nd and 3rd place back in the 64K race, and there was a rider with 11th place in the 100K whose Strava indicated that they did the 64K. The organizer did acknowledge that timing wasn't handled correctly. I will put their email on the topic somewhere here. That's great. It would be easy to dismiss much of this as stuff happens, but I don't see it that way. Even if we were to ignore the safety-related concerns, the rest of it, I think, is safe to say that the organizers could have and should have done better. They even pointed out that they have done this 8 out of the last 10 years in their response. I can only assume that the point of saying that is about asserting acumen, experience, and subject matter expertise, which makes this worse. The problem with the chip time could have been made much better by clearly communicating to riders that if they cut the course short or decide to ride a different distance and still cross the finish line, they need to say something to the timing staff. Duh. Part of the problem is that the organizers charge fees to change distance. This is the only event I'm aware of where it's not free to change distance, probably because you don't need to be a rocket surgeon to understand that additional friction there is counterproductive. People are going to do what they want to do at the event. If you signed up for the 100K in January and don't feel like you have 63 miles in your legs in the days leading up to the event, why wouldn't you just ride the short course? I'm sure a lot of people would love it if they could just change that with the organizers, but they don't allow that without handing them more money. Why not make it easy to do the right thing there? The last thing is that I feel really bad for the riders on the towpath that were clearly not on the pointy end of the race as we blew past them on Saturday. Most of them seemed to deal with it okay, but others appeared surprised, confused, and scared. For a rider who is new to racing, or worse, just getting started cycling, and this was supposed to be a fun challenge, a long line of people ripping by around 20 miles an hour in the dirt, dodging branches and holes, jockeying for position, could be terrifying and or traumatizing. One of the things I enjoy about most gravel events is that they generally prioritize inclusivity across all fitness levels. That didn't seem inclusive. On the flip side, I love that the organizers did an average rider award. That's great. All this feedback was provided to the organizers. The response wasn't encouraging. I put it up earlier. Here it is again. To be honest, I'm not sure they get it, especially the bit about inclusivity. The way it was said felt like they just knew some words needed to be said and didn't know what the right words were. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I think the test is fairly easy. Inclusivity isn't just about inviting different groups in. Making an invitation is easy. It also requires creating, or at least promoting, a safe space for everyone. I think this is often missed by those who just say the words but don't understand the why. This could be an intent versus impact thing. I think that's likely. I think they intend to create a safe event. They intend to host an inclusive event. They would like to hold a fair event, but I don't think that's what happened. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. You're probably regretting not hitting those chapter markers now, but no need. We're finally to the actual race part. I had somewhere between 3 and 4 goals for this race. Line up, finish without crashing, and do it under 3 hours. Those might seem like lame goals. Last year was a rough year. Frankly, I am thrilled to be back on the bike. I am thrilled to be sort of fit again, although I still have a lot of work to do there. The nice thing about setting lame goals is that it's easy to nail them. We already talked about the issues at the start, but for those that skip straight here, there was supposed to be a neutral start. Someone crashed just outside the corral. This created a huge gap in the field. I got through it okay, but by the time I did, riders were strung out and the big starting group was gone. I put in some work to see if I could get back on. I did end up getting to the back of a group, but well back in the field. The next bit was uneventful in a doing a race kind of way, although there were lots of riders off on the side of the road all throughout with punctures and mechanicals. Rough road is kind of a weird race because even though it's a gravel race, it's mostly chip seal roads. There is category 1 gravel. There is like a bit of gravel, like real gravel, farm roads and things. And then also this towpath, which goes along the canal there. What that means is that the people who usually win it usually do that on a road bike with road tires. I opted to go gravel bike, gravel tires. And I'm glad I did. I don't know what the mix was, people with punctures and mechanicals, but the ones I noticed were mostly on the road tire kind of side. Most races are very surgy at the beginning and then settle down. I kept waiting for this one to settle down. That didn't happen. It just kept being one of those cyclic big number, small number, big number things. I ended up with a fast group. We were cooking. Not much was happening. Just tried to stay near the front and watch for opportunities to jump groups. That lasted about an hour until my lower back started spasming. I had the same thing happen on the last fast group ride I went on. The muscles in my back just aren't ready for this. I figured it was time to switch to endurance mode and just ride high zone 2 and grind it out. So I did that for about an hour until a group caught me. I knew the towpath was coming and I hoped it would be a mess. So I adjusted the watts to stay with the group and I let the group pull me in. My hope was, with all the rain we've been having, that towpath would be a proper mess. The kind of mess that sucks your soul out of your tires and would provide a situation where selections were possible. Unfortunately, that's not how it worked out. The towpath was fairly dry, which made it fast, so there wasn't anything much to do but grind it out and do my best to keep the rubber side down. When I got the chance, I did try to keep the pace high. While the trail was fast, it's still a trail full of branches, rough sections, and puddles. As we approached the finish, the group was still fairly large. Having made it this far without laying the bike down, I didn't want to risk it to lose the sprint anyway, so I let the group go. I should have kept the pressure on the pedals because I did end up losing a place because I coasted it in. Lame, I know. What did I learn? That's a tough one. I made a bunch of mistakes, but the only one I really regret was being lazy when that group caught me. I should have kept to the original ride endurance plan. The last hour, my average power was down by 30 watts over what I was doing before. I definitely had that in me. It would have been nice to get the additional training load. This is very much a rebuilding year for me, which is why that training load would matter. I need to get my fitness back where it was. I need to get my back to a place where I can put down the numbers I need to put down for more than an hour in a low position. I need to be patient. Being patient is going to be difficult, but what else can I do? All in, it was a beautiful day to be outside on the bike. And while I have concerns around the safety at the start and finish area and how timing happened and some organizational stuff, I can't complain about the course or the weather or the overall event itself. That was fantastic. I hope you found that useful. If you did, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I will get to them as soon as I can. Thanks.